when their guy plays some games. Alright, hi everybody, Weather Guy here. We are back with some more great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Hope you're doing good. It is finally the day of our trial for the 5th case, the Unspeakable Story, where we're going to be defending Gina. Let's see how this goes. And Sasato's left. So sad. When I awoke the following morning, Sasato was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last. One that I would remember for the rest of my days. Oh, brother. Uh-oh. The Old Bailey. Great. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend, then? Sorry? You know her in the fancy dress. Sasato, or how you say it? I don't know. Miss Sasato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Miss Sasato and I won't meet again, one day. Even so. But you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Who is this? Oh, brother, you brought the cat? Why would you bring the cat? Oh, no. How are you feeling, Jenny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. I wonder if Iris is going to be like our judicial assistant today. Isn't that right, Waggy? Cute. Ah, Waggy! Great way to show your support, kitty. Let him have a nose around. What I'm gonna do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Bruno, Genie? It's definitely going to be Van Zeke's again, huh? That's probably the bad news. Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Nah, I always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities. Let's not go there. Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yes. Alright, that's not a... Well, I guess that means there's a chance Sasato returns because she didn't make her trip today. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train's delayed, should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's really. If only all good news canceled out. Oops. I said something that triggered my phone's AI stuff. You know where if you say like, hey Google, it's like bada bing bada boom. Oh, there it goes. Okay, anyway. Only all good news canceled out the bad. And look, this trial has made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder. See? How'd you like that? Well, let them say what they want. See if I care. I can't because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Bruno will soon show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will? And then in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be... Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Bruno? Oh, yes, let's hope so. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. I'm also curious about who's going to be on the jury for this one, if there'll be any more familiar faces like the previous time. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. It's entered in the court record, so this is important for some reason, so I'm gonna examine it for sure. Good luck then, Runo. I'll do what I can. Let's go ahead and... We also have to look at the case notes from the McGilda case as well. Pawnbroker perishes in pick purse plunder. How awful. Virginia, I mean. Tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Diver as Dauntless Do-Gooder, right? Yeah, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud pickpocket protects planet post-trial, perhaps? Protects planet? Oh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great. She is optimistic, to be sure. Is this one the same? On the left side? Yeah, okay. Okay. Great. Let's turn it over. There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Ministry mode. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. So this is likely what the big case may be. And this is also going to be relevant in some case. And the Ministry of Justice is Strongheart, right? Or the Minister of Justice. Interesting. For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news. She just read the bottom of the newspaper page. You're so silly. Apparently they're being intercepted by... Oh, I missed a thing. Hang on. Communications are being intercepted, but how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo? No, of course not. I wonder... Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he has Grexy running from pillar to post at the moment. Alright, that's probably it for this. Now let's look at the notes from the McGilda case. Alright, it's just reading, there's no talking about it. Victim found deceased on the last scheduled omnibus of the day after a stab wound to the abdomen. Mason Milverton, male, brickmaker, East End of London. Trial summary: Magnus McGilda, Lord Baron of Inseeks. He was a defense attorney. Conviction was assured with 3 eyewitness testimonies. However, surprise court witnesses' testimony resulted in acquittal due to insufficient evidence. This is going to be Gina's testimony that I was talking about as a 4th witness. Okay. Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. So she is going to be our assistant. Great. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but... Thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Well, I was wondering is all. About Sholmes. They fix him up alright. Yes, the operation was a great success. But Hurley still hasn't come around yet. Eh? I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard. So Hurley's still in a coma. Sholmes. Send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. Oh, he is awake. We saw him last time, at the end. He said goodbye to Sasato. He's awake. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. Oh, that was the wrong voice. No Sasato or no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense, the trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. It's time then. Yes, let's go, Gina. Iris. Lead the way, Runo. Here we go. Let's see. Oh. Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learnt anything from my great friend, it's that... Oh, it's that. I thought he was about to say more. But he was saying he had to trust Gina. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. There he is. There's our boy. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Van Zieks. My lord. Remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly. And here you are again today. Are there some circumstances in which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? In what one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, Counselor. Yeah, I want to know what the deal is. There are 2 types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large. It means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yes, I just about managed to work that out, thank you. Magnus McGilded. If I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome. Those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Nipponese. This guy's a racist! What? Did he really just say that? It means you now, Bruno. I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Ziek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people? An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zieks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors. Also, interesting note, by the way, is our client last time did not die afterwards, like Mr. McGilded supposedly did. So I think that's just something worth pointing out, because that was a big point that was brought up repeatedly, that if you are prosecuted by Van Zieks, then you either are found guilty or you are disappeared by some other means, right, afterwards. So it's interesting that that didn't seem to happen last time. Unless it did happen, but it was just off-screen while our client was on his way back to Japan. Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Alright, let's see any familiar faces. The maid again. Wow, a bunch of familiar faces. All familiar faces, right? We have... oh gosh, what was his name? Gildebrand? Is that his name? From the last trial, who he and his wife accidentally killed someone. We have the maid from the 3rd trial. We have this fella in seat number 3, who I believe was... he might have been last trial as well. We have old man from last trial. He was sitting in seat 6 before, but he wasn't in a doctor's uniform. He was the one that was pretty hard of hearing, which is pretty funny when you work a job where you have to use a stethoscope regularly. We have, in seat 5, we have the, accountant secretary lady from case number 3, who was very matter-of-fact and used a typewriter. This time she doesn't seem to have a typewriter, so that's interesting. And then in seat number 6, we have what looks like the escaped Russian guy criminal at large from case number 2, who has a mouse with him as well. All quite interesting. Quite a cast of characters we're dealing with, to be sure. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? Former lieutenant in the British Army here. Don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it. I don't understand. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible. What could I have? Oh god, he left something inside of a body? Oh no. Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop. Oh, she's doing Morse code. That's even more exciting. And it lights up too. I didn't know that those also lit up with each press. That's cool. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take boss to Crystal Tower, please. Oh yeah, there is something going on in Crystal Tower, isn't there? Isn't that where the expedition thing is at? Something wrong, Bruno? Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? I mean, this is honestly really crazy. Like, we're in London. This is a big city. There should be more variety with our jurors, you know? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know? Exactly. So I've been led to believe. Something tells me I'm being duped. Yeah, there's some conspiracy here with how the jurors are selected. Very well. Now, Lord Ranziks. The court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. I love seeing the second guy's face, so silly, with a stereoscope. The victim, Mr. Pop Windebank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. Interesting, because she is shorter than him as well, isn't she? And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Unless we don't know the angle that the bullet came through at. Because if you're shorter, the bullet comes through this way. But if he was actually shot the other way around, the angle would be coming down from a taller person. And we have seen a couple people much taller than Mr. Windebank. Someone like the accused, you might say. The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. Alright. So far, so good. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked from the inside. What's interesting is that this room is not entirely windowless. You can see inside, and theoretically a gun could have been shot through that window. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windibank, and the accused. Dude, that Russian guy's face was so funny. He just had his hands to his eyes, like, ugh. So good. Love that. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. She was also knocked out. Yeah, we don't know that that was a fatal bullet. Yeah, we got an upward climb for sure to get out of this one.
Objection.
We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. Oh, he's gonna crash it or something. My learned Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. What? Good gracious. After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pick purse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zeeks. At once, my lord. Alright, we're gonna look at all these too real quick. See if there's anything interesting. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo. I think that's because it has. Alright, let's take a second. Look at our new things. First, we have the autopsy report. 1 to 1:30 a.m. Reporting party was Rio. Single bullet wound in upper half of victim's back. No other visible signs of trauma. The heart entered. Bullet entered the body from the back. So they know that as a fact. It looks like that it came from the back. Interesting. Okay. Another person who's short that could have done this is McGilded. You know? Look at that rump. Sorry. Alright, crime scene 4 plan. Anything interesting here? I love that whenever you magnifying glass over the words in the corner, it makes them disappear. Pretty nice. Okay. This is Mr. Windibank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windibank always used to keep this gun to hand on his shop counter. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. As one bullet was fired that night and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? Alright. Oh, he's so cool! I love the cape throws. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windibank on 16th April of this year. Let's look at these witnesses. Oh my god, are you joking me with this? Rexon was a witness. Interesting. Oh. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. I mean, we have the shorter guy right there who also could have shot him. Let's see. We did see these guys. These are the guys that shot Sholmes. Alright, what voice do they get? Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is baddie. Professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's same as him. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right, we're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers. Oh, brother. Gregson, really? What are you looking at me like that for? Don't lump me in with you lot. Or blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him we have, so we're scouring every sort of capital. And then last night we came across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? He is, Nash, he is. The very spit of him. So we decided there's and then what we was gonna do. We was gonna call ya. Fantastic. Big bruv Skulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulkin? And that's before he's run out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. These, are they? These three? No, my lord. Begging your pardon. But please don't let me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these 2 brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say with an extraordinary coincidence? Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. I don't know about all this. Order. The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy to. Cause the Skulkin's never skulking. Great. Get out of it. Great. Testimony time. Let's hear what they saw. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours and the gaff door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. But once we got inside, cause of the blimey, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just looked after that nice and quiet. I don't know about all that. A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. Oh man, what if the crime was a hand instead? I don't know. Sorry, that was dumb. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside. And within, only the victim and the accused were found. Here's another thought, by the way. How difficult would it be to lock the door from the outside with the window there if you had, like, a clothes hanger type of device that could reach around, you know? How difficult would that be to pretend that the door was locked from the inside? I imagine it's not that difficult. That's what I think. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yes. What's the matter, Bruno? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose our testimony for the pack of lies it is. Alright. Cross-examination time. Time to start pressing. Time to start pressing. Ugh.
Hold it!
The front door of Windemanx was ajar, you say? What time of night was this? Must have been about 1. Ringo, right, Ringo? Yeah, I'd say so, right, Soggy? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Do you have anything in the court record for this? Not really. You have the autopsy report, which shows the time of death. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky, me old mucka? Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already had the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim.
Objection!
That is pure conjecture. Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened.
Hold it!
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say, don't they, Ringo? They do, Nash. They do. They must have been some sort of providence, I reckon. God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim, I'm sure, Dada. That's sure of that. It weren't, Nash. It weren't. Like we said at the time. You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. No, there's no two ways about it. It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks like our bruv. I said cut it out. Those chips are getting a chomping today. But once we got inside our clubs, blimey, lummy, we had a gun in the butt press. A gunshot, you say? Just the one? Are you sure about that? Yep, just the one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash. It was. Ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used belonged to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Windemanx always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Windemanx always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded. That's true, I remember him saying that as well. So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful.
Hold it!
You mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom. Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Eh? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Oh, well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, huh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination, my learned Nipponese friend, it would seem, is of the former. Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, Consuls. So I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses.
Hold it!
Definitely didn't leave nice and quiet. You didn't do or take anything? Is that your story? Well, it was bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me and Dukes out, me loyal Lucy Lockets. So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left, nice and quietly, you say. That's right, Governor. Nothing we ain't more than a violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me Dukes out, me Lucy Lockets. So you'd clearly like us to believe. Come again. As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Satan's alive. They fired a gun, you say? Blimey, Governor. You ain't telling us. It was you in the doorway. It was. Why the bleeding, Nora? Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes. They shot the great Sholmes? I didn't hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to hospital. Great Sholmes? That's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Looks like another revolver. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, Counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. I wonder if we can get evidence if the other weapon was fired as well. Because maybe it wasn't fired and the bullet was just removed for some reason. Now, my learned Nipponese friend. Yes? Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Well, I don't need evidence. Because I was there.
Objection.
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night. The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. I think it's going to be in the blood samples thing. Let's look at this real quick. So, there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it? Yes, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in through Winterbank's door. I'll make those brothers pay. Alright, seemingly nothing else interesting here. Okay. I think it's gonna be...
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth have you there, Counsel? During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do. How arrogantly Nipponese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. And you claim to have evidence the court is demanding therein. Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, Counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once.
Take that!
What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Winterbank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. Yes, as your lordship noticed. The bullet pierced Mr. Winterbank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th. That's right, and while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Doesn't have a date of death on here, but I think it was the 16th, right? This early morning 16th? Which means that... I guess it just means that he was alive and he had swapped it over before. Earlier, like at 12 a.m. or something. So maybe that's not actually evidence. That's okay. Order, order! How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zieks? He's gonna throw it. If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice at his side in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street. Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal, you weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Sulky, tell this bloke straight. I have nothing to add. Gregson's the goat, man. He's so good. So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zieks? Oh, I have a prediction. The prediction is going to be the fact that the weapon was fired at Herlock Sholmes, and that since it was the only bullet fired from the weapon, it could not have possibly been fired at Mr. Winterbank. As has been established, at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. Ah. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windibank at all. So that's it. Dude, they're hilarious. What was that? That's it? We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Ash. We didn't. That's what I reckon. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let us not forget attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas? We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery. Eccentric? Says who? Not me, don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop. Oh, I forgot about that. They take pictures every half hour or something. Oh! That's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders. What is that, Consul? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. So we should see something starting around midnight, maybe at the earliest. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in a quite desultory fashion. Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here and here. You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in the stand were not caught on camera. Yeah, that's a bit of fire talk, eh, bruv? Lady Luck should have a skulking. Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin? It must have been just after 1. Right, bruv? Must have been, Ash, must have been. Yeah, just gone 1. In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment, what scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Oh no. That is not ideal. Good lord. It's the defendant. Miss Gina Lestrade. I want to see the other camera. I want to see if the door was open. As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter. No doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom. Boy, one can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photograph prick as evidence, if you please, counsel. That's the only one we get? I want all of them. I don't believe it, Jeannie. In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Windibank. This is really bad. Who is it? Wonder if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwan, 1880, don't you know? Decorated forts and all that. But forced to retire from service, sadly. course, a medal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and exactly is your point. Carried on the battle after retirement, you see. The battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading this small squadron. 6 men, all good and true. And we'll all go down together, you mark my words. One for all and all for one. They're about to all say guilty and we're going to have to do a summation examination. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Garadeb squadron's position, sir. What? No, it's too soon to make a judgment here. Status report for the court, men. On the double. His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions too. I think you'll find the truth as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it. I wouldn't have left it in there. I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember. Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop. I am very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Brutal. Pop, 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 pop. Not good for the home team, I must say. Not good for us at all. But, well, we'll pull through. We always do. It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already. That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned. But Ginny didn't shoot him. No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination. Very well, the court grants permission. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. I mean, we've been winning every time, Van Zeeks. Like, what do you mean? We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are you all members of the jury ready? Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Summation. Judicial findings. Alright, this is a lovely place to end. Next time we're going to go through the summation examination, which I feel will take a majority of the time, but we'll see. And then, who knows? We still don't feel that much closer to figuring out who did the crime. I really don't think it's Jenny, but who knows. That's all I got. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I appreciate you so much. Make sure that you take care of yourselves. Make sure that you take care of each other. And I will see you next time. Peace out.